esteemed Rector of the International Balkan University, Professor Dr. esteemed Director of the Balkan Research Center and Vice Rector of the International Balkan University, Associate Professor Dr. Mevludin Ibish, esteemed Ambassador of the Republic of Turkiye, His Excellency Fatih Ulusoy, esteemed Ambassador of the Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Kamil Khasiyev, esteemed Representative of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Mr. Gabriel, Gualano de Godoy, esteemed members of the Management Board of the International Balkan University, honorable rectors, vice rectors, deans, guests, fellow academicians, and students. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the Balkan Research Center. Before proceeding with our opening ceremony, we would like to present you with a promotional video of the International Balkan University.
International Balkan University was established in 2006 in the capital city of North Macedonia, Skopje. Üsküp Education and Culture Foundation by a group of intellectuals, academics, and philanthropic business people. With 100% scholarship opportunities in English language education, International Balkan University, with its international academic staff and state-of-the-art campus, offers education opportunities in Europe through more than 500 international agreements, preparing students for successful careers, comprising 7 faculties, 1 vocational medical school, and an English language school. International Balkan University continues its educational activities with a total of 3,155 students from approximately 20 different countries in 23 undergraduate, 18 masters, and 4 doctoral programs. Besides maintaining high educational standards, International Balkan University is also recognized as the best university in North Macedonia for implementing the Erasmus Plus and Mevludin student and staff exchange programs. International Balkan University provides students with the best learning experience through modern and digitalized campus facilities, well-equipped classrooms with up-to-date technology, comfortable study environments, and complementary transportation services to the campus. Being a center of knowledge and science, International Balkan University houses the Inox Innovation Center, Balkan Research Center, Project and Research Office, Lifelong Learning Center, CELTA Center, established in collaboration with the University of Cambridge, and the Data Sciences and Artificial Intelligence Center, established in collaboration with the University of Southampton. International Balkan University has been transformed into a real scientific center by organizing and hosting various congresses, symposia, and conferences every year. Along with its academic excellence, IBU is familiarized with many cultural and social activities like art exhibitions, sports tournaments, spring festivals, and social responsibility campaigns. Our Alumni Center within the university provides communication and a professional network, enabling our graduates, equipped with competitive and international education, to have successful careers in leading institutions in Balkan Peninsula, including government agencies, foundations, and higher education institutions. International Balkan University. Excellence for the future.
It is an honor to have you here with us for this momentous occasion, which marks the official opening of the Balkan Research Center, crowned with an exciting panel discussion entitled Global Impacts of the Ukraine and Gaza Conflicts and the Geopolitical Context in the Caucasus, Political, Social, and Economic Implications. The Balkan Research Center is a brand new initiative under the International Balkan University that aims to play a pivotal role in providing thought-provoking and innovative academic research which will have a profound impact on the political, economic, cultural, and social development in not only North Macedonia, but also throughout the Balkans. Without further ado, I would like to invite Honorable Rector of the International Balkan University, Professor Dr. Lütfi Sunat, for his opening remarks.
Esteemed Ambassador of the Republic of Turkiye, His Excellency Fatih Ulusoy, esteemed Ambassador of the Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Kamil, Khasiyev, esteemed representative of UNHCR in Macedonia, Gabriel, Godoy, distinguished executive board members of IBU, and dear professors, researchers, press people, students and guests. It's a great pleasure and honor that I stand before you today to inaugurate at the International Balkan University Balkan Research Center. As you know, the Balkans' rich tapestry of cultures, histories and traditions has long been a source of academic curiosity and intrigue. Balkans is a region steeped in complexity, where the echoes of ancient civilizations resonate alongside the challenges and opportunities of the modern world. Today, the establishment of Balkan Research Center at IBU signifies our commitment to unraveling of mysteries and complexities of this dynamic region. Through rigorous scholarship, interdisciplinary collaboration, and dedication to academic excellence, we aim to shed a light on the diverse facets of Balkan society, culture, politics, and economy. The BRC, Balkan Research Center, will be organized as a new generation research center. Let me explain what I mean with the new generation research center. We will have close relationship, close connection and collaborations with many other institutions and people from all around the world. We will not organize and do research only in-house in our university, but we will do it on a global level. We will organize many activities, many publication, many research on a global level, in collaboration with the other institutions all around the world. Let me explain basically what we will do in this center. We will do fundamental scientific and field research and also some policy research. We will publish publications including book series, policy papers, and one peer-reviewed journal. We will organize academic and public activities like public lectures, conferences, symposiums, workshops, and seminars. We will have a special MA and PhD program dedicated to the Balkans, and we will raise the new generation of researchers in IBU throughout these graduate programs. And besides this, we will have many training programs for professionals, bureaucrats, diplomats, and students. Totally, we dedicated this center for developing an understanding of Balkan society, politics, and economy at a global level. And as we embark this exciting endeavor, let us embrace the spirit of curiosity, open-mindedness, and dialogue. Let us challenge assumptions, break down barriers, and forge new paths of understanding and cooperation. When we say Balkan region, there are too many mysteries, there are too many barriers, and there are many misunderstandings. And in this center, I hope we will challenge these misunderstandings and barriers. And together, let us embark on a journey to discovery that will enrich our minds, broaden our horizons, and inspire positive change in the region and in the world. Esteemed guests, on behalf of International Balkan University, I extend my sincerest gratitude to each of you for your presence today and invaluable contributions in our endeavor. Dear ambassadors, Fatih Ulusoy and Kamil Khasiyev, and Mr. Gabriel de Godoy, we are very thankful for your presence today. Your presence encourages us to make more in the future. And we thank our distinguished executive board members for their vision, leadership, and support. I want to thank specifically to Professor Mevludin Ibish for his commitment and leadership as the founding director of BRC. On behalf of entire IBU community and all those who will benefit from the work of the BRC, we express our appreciation for his contributions. And also, all of our academic team has contributed too much to founding the center and preparing the necessary research structure. Balkan Research Center will be the house of all academic members of IBU for their research. And their contributions have laid the foundation for scholarship, collaboration, and understanding in the Balkans. I extend my gratitude to all those who have contributed to establishing this center at Balkan University. And I invite all of you to join us in this remarkable voyage of exploration and discovery. Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite the Director of the Balkan Research Center and Vice Rector of the International Balkan University, Associate Professor Dr. Mevludin Ibish, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Cesar. Esteemed Rector of International Balkan University, Professor Dr. Lutfi Sunar, esteemed Ambassador of Republic of Turkiye, His Excellency Fatih Ulusoy, esteemed Ambassador of Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Kamil Khasiyev, esteemed representative of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Mr. Gabriel Gualano de Godoy, esteemed members of the Management Board of IBU, honorable rectors, vice rectors, deans, respected media representatives, NGO, guests, fellow academicians, and most valuable students. It's a great honor and pleasure to speak in front of you in the name of BRC. Therefore, delighted to have you all here. The BRC establishment was an old idea, practically, but right now it found its context, it found its position, and with the support of the IBU Rector, Professor Dr. Lutfi Sunar, we have reached the goal, and now we have legally established in a fully fledged manner the Balkan Research Center. Allow me, in a couple of words, to speak about BRC, and it aims to conduct research, report and influence academic entities and state and non-state decision-making institutions. Our goal is to provide objective, well-researched analysis in order to help the academic entities for higher academic development and public entities, as well as other stakeholders, in order to make informed decisions and formulate effective policies. We'll do this by producing well-evidenced based knowledge, conduct research, stay responsive on all social, political, and economical developments, prepare policy analysis, write recommendations, collaborate with all academic institutions, government agencies, non-profit organizations, and variety of stakeholders. Promote something which has been lost, transparency and accountability, and also encourage public engagement. Our mission is to conduct academic research and analysis, providing evidence-based insights that can produce effective policies and improve societies in the Balkan region, while our vision is to be a leading academic and policy research platform in the Balkan region, while changing Balkan societies via academic achievements, public awareness, collaboration, address pressing challenges, and promote a just and sustainable future. Balkan Research Center has 3 trajectories of research. The first one is political, social, and legal studies, led by Professor Dr. Kirill Shalamanov and his team. The second trajectory is economic development studies, led by Associate Professor Dr. Luleta Sadiko and her team. And the third, the last but not the least, language and cultural studies, led by Assistant Professor Dr. Mariana Klemencic, which I thank all of you and your team behind. Their teams are very established professors and young researchers, and you can see their portfolios back in the website, and you can do the search. When it comes to action plan of BRC, though we are in the second half of the quarter of the year, we're planning to have 3 projects and 6 panel discussions and 1 issue of the Balkan Research Studies Journal, which the Rector already mentioned. But let me just say that the first project will be process of EU integration in North Macedonia, political and sociological implications. The second will be the role of financial literacy on increasing the financial independence and poverty reduction, the case of North Macedonia. And the third one will be on the role of multilingualism in the formation of individual and collective identity in the Balkans. In the next 5 years, we see BRC as a very well-established think tank, out of which substantial analysis, reports, opinions will be published and will be impactful for the educational, state and non-state actors. While we're opening the BRC with this panel and with this topic entitled Global Impacts of the Ukraine and Gaza Conflicts and the Geopolitical Context in the Caucasus, Political, Social and Economic Implications, it's because academia should talk about contemporary challenges and issues that the Balkan region is also a fluid region which is going to be impacted, and global dynamics impact and change narratives as well as all positions. Therefore, I really appreciate immensely our honorable panelists, their excellencies, for their time and position to speak loudly about the designated issues and make our event grateful, thus enlightening our knowledge on these regions. Please, I also do thank all those that supported this event to happen, having in mind the academic and administrative collaboration as a symbiosis. And please do remember that from now on, you're all part of the BRC and we expect you. Thank you very much.
Before inviting our honorable panelists to take their seats on our panel, I would like to present you with their brief biographies. Ambassador Fatih Ulusoy graduated from Ankara University, Faculty of Political Sciences, Department of International Relations. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which he joined in 1996, he worked in the Department of Central Asia, Middle East, and Cyprus, and served as Deputy Special Advisor to the Ministry. He worked in Turkish diplomatic missions in London, Tokyo, UN Office at Geneva, and Hong Kong, and he served as political advisor to NATO senior representative in Afghanistan. Fatih Ulusoy served as the ambassador of the Republic of Turkiye to Ethiopia and as the permanent representative to the African Union between 2015 and 2019. As the chair of the Southern Philippines Peace Process Independent Decommissioning Body between 2019 and 2021, and as the ambassador of the Republic of Turkiye to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia between 2021 and 2024. Fatih Ulusoy started his mandate as the ambassador of the Republic of Turkiye to North Macedonia on the 15th of March 2024. His Excellency Kamil Khasiyev graduated from the Military Institute of the Ministry of Defense in 1990, completed a diplomatic course at the University of Leeds in 1993, and also studied international security studies courses at Harvard University. His international diplomatic postings include, among others, Counselor of the Embassy of the Republic of Azerbaijan to Austria, Permanent Mission to the OSCE, and Permanent Representative of the Mission of the Republic of Azerbaijan to NATO. Prior to his current position, he served as Ambassador of the Republic of Azerbaijan to Croatia and Head of the Department of Regional Security at the Azerbaijani Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Gabriel Gualano de Godoy has a bachelor degree in law from the Federal University of Paraná in Brazil, a master's degree in law, anthropology, and society from the London School of Economics and Political Sciences, and is a doctor of law in theory and philosophy of law from the State University of Rio de Janeiro. He has previously served as Senior Protection Officer of the UNHCR office in Mexico and has also assumed protection-related functions in Brazil, Uganda, and Costa Rica, and served as Chief of Mission in the Dominican Republic. Now, I would like to first invite Honorable Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey, His Excellency Fatih Ulusoy, to take his respective seat on stage. I would like to now invite Honorable Ambassador of the Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Kamil Khasiyev, to take his respective seat on stage. I would like to invite esteemed representative of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Mr. Gabriel Gualano de Godoy, to take his respective seat on stage. Now I would like to invite today's moderator, the Director of the Balkan Research Center and Vice Rector of IBU, Associate Professor Dr. Mevludin. The floor is yours, Hocam.
Thank you very much, Cesar. Thank you very much, Cesar, for your intro and interlude. Thank you very much for your time again, and thank you for having a space for your complexity of agendas to speak about these topics. Without further delay, I just want to give some technical remarks, and then we can proceed. The idea is that we will go with questions, and in the first question, basically, we'll talk about the BRC and the designated topic in general, for 5 minutes, and then through questions from my side, we are going to converse and to go much deeper into these designated topics. So thank you very much. Ambassador Ulusoy, would you like to give your first assessment on the topic, please?
It's working. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, let me congratulate the Balkan University for establishing this Balkan Research Center. Balkan University is already contributing, in a very positive way to education life in North Macedonia, and also the bilateral relations between Turkiye and North Macedonia. So we are very thankful for that. And today is another level of contribution. With the establishment of the Balkan Research Center, I will congratulate Rector Professor Rector, and I congratulate you for your new title. We hope all the success to the center, and we are very rest assured that this will be a very successful, this will have successful activities in the near future. When I got this invitation and when I heard that in the first event of the center, I'm invited as a guest speaker, I put on my academic tie and ran to the university right away. So thank you for inviting me to this inaugural event. Starting with Balkans, of course, the Turkish foreign policy very strongly, attaches importance to the peace, stability, and prosperity in the Balkans. For us, it's very crucial. And we have deep historical humanitarian bonds that connect Turkiye and North Macedonia as well as other countries in the region. So we are steadfast in our commitment to maintain strong ties and presence in the Balkans. However, as our current discussion, today's agenda relates to conflicts in other parts of the world, we should, I think, direct our attention there. The Turkish foreign policy, guided by the century of Turkiye vision, represents a comprehensive and multifaceted approach. The international landscape has long been marked by instability, exacerbated by escalating geopolitical rivalries. To begin with, the Ukrainian conflict has profoundly altered the security dynamics of the Euro-Atlantic region, bringing conventional warfare to Europe's doorstep. Furthermore, the developments in the Middle East, particularly since October 7, further instabilized our region and the global system. Turkey made strong warnings and sincere warnings about the risk of spillover and escalation of Israel's ongoing war in Gaza. We repeated this on many occasions to all our counterparts. And recently, the Israeli attack on the Iranian embassy in Damascus further raised our concerns. Iran's retaliation to this attack have once again demonstrated that there is potential for a quick escalation into a regional war. So we cannot let the current crisis be framed as Israel-Iran conflict. The war in Gaza lies at its core. We will continue our efforts to prevent the triggering of a process that will permanently damage the stability of our region and lead to greater global conflicts. But when we look at the region surrounding us, it is clear that Turkey is at the center of geostrategic fault lines. We also employ a diverse array of initiatives, including, on-the-ground mediation. We co-chair groups of friends at major international organizations like the United Nations, OSCE, Organization of Islamic Cooperation. We host mediation conferences. We even offer mediation for peace certificate program. And we actively engage in resolving conflicts across various regions all around the world. To name a few, Iraq, Lebanon, Kyrgyzstan, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, Somaliland. We also support peace processes in South Philippines. We also facilitated dialogue between Ukraine and Russia. We have learned from bitter experience that each conflict has unique dynamics and conditions, and it requires tailor-made mediation efforts. While every conflict differs, preventive diplomacy adheres to certain universal principles. Successful mediators must thoroughly understand the complexities of the issue and demonstrate unwavering commitment to achieve a lasting solution. Mediators should propose adaptable yet principled strategies from the outset and cultivate trust among disputing parties by presenting a shared vision. We sponsor, together with Finland in the United Nations, the Mediation for Peace initiative. We aim to elevate the role of mediation in preventive diplomacy and secure additional resources for mediation endeavors. We have to bear in mind that cooperation, collaboration, and cohabitation is essential and the norm, not the conflicts. Having said this, I will just conclude by saying that whatever we are seeing today, it only shows us that the reform is very much needed in the UN system, and we cannot find solutions to many ongoing disputes and conflicts with the current UN system, so we support a comprehensive reform. So I think I'll stop there. I don't want to take too much time at this session, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your insights into the book. Though this gives the argument to my thesis that Turkey has moved from soft power to a middle power country in the world politics. Thank you very much. Ambassador Khasiyev, would you like to give your prelude on 5 minutes on the designated topic? Please.
I have 5 minutes, right?
You have all your time. The time is yours, please.
Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to be here, and I too would like to join my dear friend Ambassador of Turkey, brother of Turkey, in congratulating Balkans University on the establishment of this important Balkan Research Center. I think that this is a very timely initiative given the complex geopolitical situation in the world and in the region. And we all definitely need the contribution by think tanks, academia, and we all need new ideas to tackle very complicated problems we have been facing for quite some time already. Well, actually, in my opening remarks, obviously I would like to very briefly touch upon the geopolitical situation in South Caucasus. Of course, I've prepared a very long presentation, which I think we don't have time today to listen to. But I guess that our cooperation will continue because we really, Azerbaijan attaches great importance to cooperation with countries in this region, in the Balkans region. It's one of the foreign policy priorities of Azerbaijan to develop friendly relations with the countries in this region. So I appreciate your invitation, and Allow me to start by underlining that South Caucasus is really a very complicated region, but in the meantime it is a very geostrategically important region in terms of its impact on quite a number of issues. It has always been a zone of certain competition and rivalry between some powers historically, and until now we have been witnessing certain complex issues in this region. As ambassador who represents a country which suffered for a long time from a conflict, I must say I will not go into detail of this conflict, just a few words. You know, in our region there are a number of conflicts. There are conflicts in South Ossetia and Abkhazia, two Georgian regions. And there is a former, and I'd like to underline that former conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which in previous times was referred to as the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. It's over. There is no such conflict anymore. Actually, we suffered a lot from this conflict, and I'm pleased to note here also the distinguished representatives of the UNHCR. Some time ago, in 1993, Azerbaijan was one of the countries with the largest number of refugees and internally displaced persons per capita. And probably since the very first day, so to say, of our independence, we have had the presence of the UNHCR, and we appreciated the assistance. So, but the issue is that the conflict, the major essence of the conflict is that one country has territorial, or continues to have until now territorial claims towards another country. Armenia has territorial claims towards Azerbaijan. And this was a major problem. Unlike conflicts in Georgia, which were of separatist, ethnic irredentist nature, this conflict is an interstate conflict. So it was based, or it originated from territorial claims by Armenia towards Azerbaijan. But in 2020, Azerbaijan managed to liberate its territories, which had been under occupation for 20 years. And now a great reconstruction work actually started in these regions. Those internally displaced persons, we got 1 million refugees and internally displaced persons in Azerbaijan. They after 30 years, they started to return to their homes. And now what we see in our region, it's Azerbaijan has been doing it at most to sign a peace treaty with Armenia, which was initiated by Azerbaijan after November 2020 patriotic war. So there were many rounds of negotiations. The peace treaty was commented by both countries, and the process still continues. But I want to stress that it is very important to finally put an end to this conflict, and it will open up a great potential of that region to the world. Because one of the topics today, opportunities for cooperation. It's a region which lies between two seas, Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, at the crossroads between East and West, between North and South. It's a gateway to Central Asia, one of the richest regions in terms of minerals and natural resources. So potential is great, and we will all look forward to making use of this potential. So I will limit myself to these remarks for the time being. Thank you.
Sorry for framing the time, but somehow we need to take into advance. I think you very much will prelude, though when I teach on the students from the Caucasus, I say the Caucasus resemble Balkans. Communism, post-communism, and regional issues. Thank you for this great prelude. Ambassador Gabriel, would you like to give 5 minutes on the intro and how the United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees see the global warfares and tendencies for development? Thank you.
I have a presentation, but I think I will just stick with slide 1 as my key message for this first round. Not forgetting to, first of all, thank International Balkan University for the invitation. Salute our Rector, Vice Rector, and Director of the Research Center, like Your Excellencies, ambassadors from Turkiye and Azerbaijan. I would like also to congratulate the university for the launch of this research center and to extend congratulations from the UN family, desiring that the students in the academic community of the university is also engaging with us in a dialogue about not only conflict resolution, but also refugee protection and peace building in this region and in the world. I would like to have a quick take and to offer a perspective from our own mandate, coming from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. So the first point is that at the same time that we're dealing with all challenges and thinking about innovative solutions for those complex emergencies, we're having to do that at the same time that we're dealing with a global reality where conflicts are on the rise. So this is, unfortunately, the moment in history where we have to deal with the largest humanitarian crisis since World War II. So just to stick with one clear figure, we're talking nowadays about more than 114 million persons being forced to be displaced as a consequence of war, persecution, armed conflict, gross violations of human rights, and generalized violence. That's the reality of the world today. 10 years ago, we used to have half of this population under our mandate. So our agency is seeing our resources, both financial and human, stretched in support to countries that are dealing with this situation. So my first key point is just to remind that when we're talking about those figures and when we're describing the reality that we're discussing today, it's not only about numbers. All those peoples are persons with children. They are persons like us, maybe like our ancestors, that all of a sudden were caught up by a situation that broke their lives and created a new challenge, which is how to make sure that they could restore their livelihood opportunities and find a chance to live once again at peace in a different community that they may be lucky to find and call home. So one of the key aspects that I would like to stress is that when it's difficult for us to find consensus when talking about politics, social context, or economics, I think that we have to once again reiterate what we have learned together in the past decades, which is a common shared language deeply rooted in common values that are reflected in key international treaties that are very relevant for us to take into consideration while addressing those situations. Not only talking about the institutional design that was responsible for the establishment of the United Nations, its bodies, the Human Rights Council, the Security Council, International Court of Justice, also the specialized agencies, including our own, UNHCR, as well as other sister agencies like UNRWA, the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees, but also about the different treaties that are a valuable tool to make sure that we can recognize the specificity of the different persons affected by conflicts. And the first point that I would like to make is how important it is for us today, since conflicts on the rise, to reiterate the Geneva Conventions that are a very important tool for making the difference between civilians and combatants, and to forbid civilians from being attacked, and to forbid inhumane and cruel means during hostilities, and to reiterate that safe zones and humanitarian workers should not be a target. I think this is very important, and it's still something to be highlighted. Another very important international treaty is the 1951 Convention on the Status of Refugees. So that convention clearly articulates who is a refugee under international law, offers the definition of refugee, the rights of refugees, their obligations, but also the duties of the host states in relation to refugees that are crossing an international border and looking for a safe haven. This convention is one of the key treaties, and it's very important because we're now talking about more than 30 million refugees at the global level. More than around 6 million of them are Palestinian refugees under UNRWA's mandate. And we're talking about around 6 million asylum seekers and around 63 million persons that are displaced internally within the territory of their state of origin. So this is very important because for persons affected by war, it's becoming more and more difficult for them to find a solution in a safe country of asylum. And I think it's important for us in this moment to reiterate the relevance of the respect of the right to asylum and rights in asylum when the person finds a place to be protected in a neighboring or host country. Those countries that are receiving refugees, we have the example of Turkey, one of the countries that is the host of one of the largest refugee population in the world. This is an example for us to see that we have to be able to do better for refugees and to do more. But countries like Turkey will not be able to do that alone. So we need to find solutions for refugees, but we should also find ways to ease the pressure on host communities, host states, foster solutions in third countries, and make sure that peace is at the center of our efforts. So conditions in countries which are facing conflict are addressed, and persons can be able to voluntarily return in conditions of safety and dignity. So I believe those are the key aspects for us to have in mind in today's world. Nowadays, the United Nations is working with countries, civil society organizations, academia, and the private sector to discuss the final push towards implementation of the 2030 Agenda, which has a beautiful motto of leaving no one behind. Nevertheless, when we think about the development strategies of the different countries, and we think about who is being left further behind, it's pretty clear that those are the asylum seekers, refugees, stateless people, or persons being forcibly displaced internally. So let's make sure that we put at the center of our conversations and reflections about development also the humanitarian considerations, because this is a key aspect for us to make sure that we can achieve the sustainable development goals, but also, while doing that, respecting human rights of those persons forced to flee.
Gabriel, thank you very much for your insights and Peru. When you mentioned Geneva Convention, I would go with Roma Statute as well, which helps this issue when it comes to atrocities. And what we can say is that as if we became more vulnerable as societies, 3,000 years ago, we would kill, possibly would kill less people, right? Rather, having this technological development of today's, we have more atrocities than we have more refugees. So I thank you very much to do that distinction as you already made. Talking about the conflict, I would like to ask Ambassador Fatih Ulusoy with regard to the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, one of the conflicts which is still active in the Euro-Asian, I would say, region. Having in mind the position of Turkiye in terms of its mediation between Ukraine and Russia, but also substantially speaking about the invasion of Russia in Ukraine, it gives to Turkey a kind of complexity in its role, as it is in the Balkans. What is the position of Turkey today with regard to the Ukrainian-Russian conflict? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mevludin. The war in Ukraine has obviously shaken the very foundations of European security. What happened is an unacceptable violation of international law, and the current war in Ukraine further fractured and polarized the global order. It also exposed to everybody the vulnerabilities of international organizations. It has affected all of us, basically. Currently, it triggered many challenges we must tackle, from energy to food security, from global price spikes to disruption of global supply chains. And as the war further protracts, its negative impacts are deepening. Currently, it already turned into an attritional conflict, and this poses serious risks beyond Ukraine. As we head into the third year of the war, Turkey remains firmly committed to Ukraine's sovereignty, territorial integrity, including Crimea. We have been advocating from the very beginning that a just and lasting solution to the conflict can be achieved through negotiations. The current dynamics may not be conducive to revitalization of the diplomatic process, unfortunately. However, we should not have to choose between a frozen conflict and a forever war. A third option must be developed. To that end, we should relentlessly pursue an opening that will facilitate negotiations towards ending this conflict. And when the right set of conditions emerge, we must be ready to engage. Since its outset, we have been also working to mitigate the negative effects of the war through our facilitation and mediation efforts. Together with the United Nations, we brokered the Black Sea Initiative. It allowed almost 33 million tons of various grain products to reach the world markets in a year. And it helped to stabilize global food prices and avert a major food shortage. Therefore, following the termination of the Black Sea Initiative, Turkey has not given up to seek for a new security framework in the sea that will enable safe navigation for commercial shipments. A new security framework would ensure safe transportation of grain via Black Sea at low costs. We will continue to explore whether the sides are ready to engage in such a new arrangement. After all, war has no winners, a just peace has no losers. At this moment, I want to thank Gabriel, representative of UNHCR, kindly mentioning the importance of migration in today's world. And the war in Ukraine also shows us that this is a critical issue. So I want to highlight our perspective also in that regard. We are hosting 4 million refugees and asylum seekers in Turkey, and we are surrounded by numerous conflicts. We don't have the capacity to have a new influx. We don't have the capacity to have 4 million more. What we have to do is to seek comprehensive and fair migration policies, which should include various aspects of this phenomenon. First of all, the root causes should be addressed for long term, and sustainable response should be found for migration challenges. And secondly, humanitarian and development assistance are crucial. While ensuring peace, stability, and sustainable development in the long term, we have to provide necessary assistance to those in need. The burden and responsibility sharing with the countries most affected by irregular migration movements is another important part. And last but not least, enhancing resettlement opportunities is another imperative. And also, I want to turn to Ambassador Kamil. I fully subscribe to whatever he said on the issue between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And as he highlighted, this final agreement, if I may say so, we support and we hope that in the near future we will be able to see that this will be signed. Hopefully, if Armenia also agree, and on the Nagorno-Karabakh issue, we are happy that it is settled after, unfortunately, 30 years of occupation by Armenia, and this also showed us another lack of capacity, the lack of success of the relevant international mechanism, which is the OSCE Minsk group. They were not able to address this issue, but Azerbaijan had to take this issue into their own hands, and we are happy to see that it is solved, and we continue to support peace and stability in Azerbaijan and in our region. So I wish Azerbaijan also all the best in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ulusoy, for your insights on Ukraine-Russian conflict, but also you stressed the Caucasus, South Caucasus as an issue. Now, if we move from conflict to development, as Ambassador Khasiyev said, on the 28th and 29th of February, last discussions on 2 ministers of foreign affairs of Armenia and Azerbaijan had concluded certain remarks in terms of perpetual peace. So there are still certain issues that are open. Would you like to give us some insight with regard to, because when we say development, we mean economic development, infrastructure, logistics, and so on and so forth. What is the position of Armenia, though Azerbaijan's position with the Zangezur corridor that interlinks both regions and makes Azerbaijan quite interrelated as it is detached from itself? Will it go through Armenia or will it be through Iran as an alternative? And what about the delimitation borderline of the villages in that respect? So would you like to give us some insights? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I agree. Actually, this was an important round of negotiations between our foreign ministers, which took place in Berlin, in Germany, on the margins of the Munich Security Conference. As far as our position is concerned, we are open to all positive initiatives. We were always open for negotiations with Armenia in order to bridge our differences and to reach an agreement on peace as soon as possible. As I said, this was Azerbaijan who initiated actually this peace process. The very first draft of the peace treaty was prepared in the foreign ministry of Azerbaijan, and we conveyed this draft to the Armenian side. By the way, availing myself of this opportunity, I would like to thank the distinguished ambassador of Turkey for the expressed support, and you know, throughout all these years of occupation, we felt strong support on the part of Turkey, because Turkey has always been on the part of international law. This was first and foremost on the part of international law, support to territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. Coming back to our negotiations with Armenia, a positive development took place in 2022 when finally the Prime Minister of Armenia, Pashinyan, recognized the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. We don't know whether his words and deeds would match. Not very often it happens, but he actually recognized the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan, and it's a very good starting point. So the differences between us right now, if they are sincere in renouncing territorial claims against Azerbaijan, then we will be able to proceed with the peace agreement very smoothly, and it will be done very soon. As for and distinguished ambassador of brother Turkey also mentioned the Minsk group and the co-chairs of the Minsk group. You know, the three co-chairs, namely France, Russia, and United States of America, three members of the permanent members of the UN Security Council, have been for 30 years almost the co-chairs of the Minsk group, and they made countless number of trips to the region, and but they were not successful. And for any negotiating format, we need a determination first and foremost on the part of the parties to the conflict. So, in case, therefore, now Armenia is trying to say that they need some kind of a mediator, be it France or United States, European Union, or we are not against that. What we say is that the best way to proceed is to talk directly. And we prefer not mediation. Mediation did not produce any results for 30 years. We say that it's facilitation. So any country which offers facilitation is welcome. It could be Germany, it could be European Union, Quite recently, Kazakhstan also offered its good services. Georgia, neighboring Georgia, also offered. So all these offers are most welcome. And but we have finally Armenia should have enough courage to renounce territorial claims, because you know the Armenian constitution still stipulates that a part of the territory of Azerbaijan, the Karabakh region, is a part of Armenia. If they have this in their constitution, how can they, so to say, sign this peace treaty renouncing territorial claims? This creates certain, you know, inconsistencies, which we very much hope will be solved. And as for the Zangezur corridor, it's also their obligation. It's obligation by Armenia under the trilateral statement signed by the Prime Minister of Armenia and Presidents of Azerbaijan and Russia in 2020 in November. So Armenia has to open Zangezur corridor. We don't say that it should be. It should have. We have plenty of corridors. We have East-West corridor. We have North-East corridor. Maybe we'll speak about that. We have Middle corridor from China to. So what we say is that trains, cargos, and people should travel freely between two parts of Azerbaijan. That's what we say, and it happens throughout all these years. We have this transportation via Iran, and we say that, well, we do not say that we should have any kind of sovereignty over the Armenian territory. We will say that we should have unfettered and impeded movement of goods and people between two parts of Azerbaijan. If cargoes go from Azerbaijan to Armenia, of course, there should be customs procedures, there should be, I don't know, tariffs, fees. But if goods are transported between two parts of Azerbaijan, there should not be any tariffs. That's the very natural idea, I think, and there should be security. Because if people, Azerbaijani civilians, travel through territory of Armenia, it should be a safe passage. They should enjoy safety. That's what we have been discussing with Armenia right now on Zangezur. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this insight. Though I think if Zangezur happens, you have complete dependency. Two states, in order to not be in conflict, should be integrated. And I think that would be a very good common point to achieve. I have a question for Ambassador Godoy, which is a bit of maybe a question of organizational behavior of the United Nations that touches your assessment. So if we say that in a global scale we have atrocities, we have instabilities and conflicts around the world, how do you do your assessment as United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees when United Nations is already asymmetrically different in terms of interest and power gap? Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that there are different aspects of the engagement of the United Nations to be able to unfold that question. Certainly, on our case, we were mandated by the General Assembly in 1950 to protect refugees. By that time, we were 35 people. And now we are almost 10,000 present in almost every country in the world, having to deal with around 10 simultaneous emergencies worldwide. So I believe that, unfortunately, the dream to have an agency that could support states to resolve the refugee challenge doesn't seem to be doesn't seem to be close to be implemented, because numbers of refugees are increasing and our personnel and resources are not able to address contemporary challenges. Nevertheless, let me say the following. We were discussing at the beginning of the session about the challenges related to Ukrainian refugees and internally displaced. We recall that Turkey, which is hosting 4 million persons forced to flee, many of them are Syrian refugees. A few years ago, it would be considered in European countries impossible to host Syrian migrant and refugees. Nevertheless, after the invasion of Ukraine, we are seeing more solidarity in the continent in welcoming refugees. There are around 6.5 million persons who are Ukrainian refugees in the continent.
And around 4 million Ukrainians internally displaced. So I think that it's very important for us to recall the different international treaties that will guide the response from states, international community, and the United Nations. So for internally displaced persons, they're fleeing war and persecution just like the refugees. The difference is that when a person is displaced within the territory of origin, the actor responsible for protecting those persons is the state. When that person crosses an international border and leaves the country of origin, that's when a person becomes a refugee. If that person applies for refugee status, that person should be recognized as a refugee. So a refugee, first of all, it's important to recall the convention in its
Article 1A, which says that a refugee is a refugee because of who they are or because of what they believe in. If they cross the border because of they're fearing to be persecuted because of their race, their religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership of a particular social group, those persons, they are not only morally entitled to be protected, they have the right to be protected. That's what's in Article 1A of the 1951 Convention. And this means that they have to have access to the territory of the host country. They have to have right not to be penalized by entering a country irregularly. They should benefit from legal assistance, support from UNHCR or other providers of legal assistance. Alternatives to detention should be in place. They should enjoy of basic rights. Access to health care, education should be documented. They should be treated at least as favorable as any other foreigner in a regular situation in that host community and host country. So I think that we have to put it into context, the so-called migration crisis. We have to recall rights of refugees under the Refugee Convention. We have to also learn from neighboring experiences that it is possible to do more, that countries will not be able to deal with that alone. The UNHCR is, of course, available to help, both to address humanitarian needs of internally displaced population and refugees, but our reading is thinking about what happened in the last decade. If trend continues in the same speed, we'll have the double of the figure that I just introduced to you, 114 million displaced persons in the next 10 years. And this is not sustainable. And as we have been hearing from different countries that experience in different ways the severe consequences of conflict and supporting to refugees, this is something that is calling a comprehensive perspective that will need an extra hand, not only from actors from the development sector, but also from more states of the region and the international community. I think it's very important for us to recall that refugees are not the danger. Refugees are the victims of armed conflicts. They are not the terrorists. They are the victims of terrorism. And sometimes having those debates with lenses that are focusing too much on securitization may be forcing us to leave behind the international treaties that could help us to guide and look for concrete solutions. I think that there are very interesting experiences that could serve and could be thought as lessons learned for us to address ceasefire, peace negotiations, and then solutions for refugees. Be it local integration in the host country, host community. If hostilities or persecution continues in the first country of asylum, we're also supporting to find solutions in third countries, like resettlement, for example, or when conditions allow, we also support refugees to go back and have voluntary repatriation to their country of origin. So I think that to us, it's the most important point is to reiterate the commitment of the agency to think about it not only in terms of the Security Council resolutions under Chapter 7 and the concerns related to international peace and security, or the broader provisions on human rights within the Human Rights Council, but also how on concrete activities happening nowadays in the cities where refugees are arriving, what can we do together to support those host communities and to support those refugees who need a response right now?
Thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel. Because of the time limitations, and time is always limited, we'll go with the last round of questions. And I would like to ask Ambassador Ulusoy with regard to the Palestinian issue. Though it's a very old conflict from 1947, although we can go back to 1930s if you want, with the Arab Spring, 47 with the two-model or two-state solution, the secession from the United Nations, we can start from there. And the last happening of the 7th of October, where you had more than 30,000 of civilian killings, out of which you have more than half children and women, statistically taken by United Nations, if you will. What is the position of Turkiye in this regard? Having in mind
Middle East issue. This affects deeply very much the entire region. I really, want to highlight what I'm going to say now, because I will, underline a very, important aspect of our policy and look to the issue. Since October 7, we have seen, the whole world has seen, more than 34,000 innocent civilians deliberately killed in Gaza. Hospitals, schools, mosques, churches, sanctuaries, infrastructure being attacked and destroyed. 2.5 million people are under constant bombardment. The fact that children and women make up 70% of casualties is the failure of us, the international community, to protect civilians. The war crimes committed in Gaza pain everyone with a conscience. We must not let the attention of the international community shift away from massacres in Gaza. Obviously, the Israeli attacks must end. The tension is also flaring up in the West Bank. We should not let anyone to put the whole region on fire, from the West Bank to Lebanon to Syria. It is important to prevent further escalation, and as I said in my opening remarks, attacking Iranian embassy in Damascus, is a clear violation of international law. And Iran's retaliation to this attack have once again demonstrated that there is a potential for quick escalation into a regional war. We cannot let the current crisis be framed as Israel-Iran conflict. The war in Gaza is lying at its core. This crisis shows us that there can be no lasting peace in the Middle East without settling the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And this calls for the two-state solution. As you mentioned, Turkey has been supporting this from the very beginning. And I want to highlight now, we had one Security Council resolution, 2728. It demanded for an immediate ceasefire, putting the whole regional, global order in jeopardy, by Israel's attacks. We need to have this immediate ceasefire, and we couldn't. And the biggest obstacle to the resolution of the Palestinian issue is the double standards that allow for turning a blind eye to all of Israel's illegal actions. We also had the order of the International Court of Justice, and unfortunately it was not taken into consideration by Israel. We should not let anyone fuel more violation of international law. We are not saying this or that. We are sticking to the law. This is our position. We must implement the Security Council Resolution 2728 urgently for an immediate ceasefire and put an end to this misery once and for all. As long as the order of the International Court of Justice and the Security Council Resolution are not implemented fully, we will find ourselves, unfortunately, with the law of the jungle, not a rules-based order. Under these circumstances, Turkey's foreign policy, driven by moral values, has become more important than ever. And this is why we raise our voice in the face of the atrocities committed in Gaza. So what did Turkey do? Since the first day of the crisis, we have carried out intensive diplomacy. We have mobilized regional and global mechanisms, including UN, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and others that end. On December 12 last year, the draft resolution on an emergency humanitarian ceasefire, co-sponsored by 104 countries, including Turkey, was adopted by 153 votes at the UN General Assembly. It was adopted at the UN General Assembly because the Security Council could not work. So Turkey carried out, its solution-oriented initiatives on Palestine through two main tracks. On the first track, we endeavored to ensure a ceasefire, which is the most urgent one. The delivery of humanitarian aid and the prevention of the expulsion of Palestinians from Gaza. Until now, Turkey sent humanitarian aid to Gaza with 13 cargo planes and 9 ships. The last one departed from Mersin yesterday. Turkey recently announced trade restrictions on Israel because we believe words are not effective. We blocked export of 54 product groups, including several types of aluminum and steel products, paint, electric cables, construction materials, fuel, and other materials to Israel. And these restrictions will remain in place until Israel implements a ceasefire and allows sufficient and uninterrupted flow of humanitarian aid to Gaza. We don't intend to hurt anybody. We want to see that humanitarian aid runs smoothly and in an uninterrupted manner to the people in need in Gaza. The second track, we emphasize that lasting peace and security can only be through a two-state solution, as you mentioned. The problem cannot be solved without ending the Israeli occupation. A sovereign and independent Palestinian state must be established immediately. The guarantorship mechanism, I want to highlight this. Turkiye, maybe you remember, proposed a guarantorship mechanism. It aims to reach a long-term and sustainable settlement. The previous attempts for reaching a lasting settlement on the Israeli-Palestinian issue ended in failure because of lack of commitment from the Israeli side. This is why we entertained the idea of a guarantee mechanism. If the parties, Israelis and Palestinians, know beforehand that whatever they agree on will hold and be implemented, they will be encouraged more to engage in negotiations in good faith. As whatever they agree on will hold through the guarantee mechanisms, Israelis will also enjoy their security, as well as the Palestinians, and our region will be stable and prosperous. This mechanism will be about regional ownership. Some countries from the region and maybe some from outside will come together to monitor, to verify, and when needed, to enforce the obligations of the parties collectively with the consent of the parties as a part of the final agreement. As Turkey, we remain ready to take responsibility in that regard, along with some other regional countries. So, in sum, I want to conclude. I know we are out of our time. The number one priority. We have to end the bloodshed in Gaza immediately. And we need to provide unhindered, sufficient, and sustained humanitarian aid and its safe distribution. And we need to start looking at the long-term, lasting peace and settlement. Thank you very much.
In order to conclude, but I would like to ask both panelists to go on strict 5 minutes in order just to be fair in terms of questions, although I know that the audience is already taking time. But I think these topics are very valuable for all of us and enlightened by the panelists. My last question for the Azerbaijani ambassador is this. What is the position of the EU in terms of mediation between Armenia and Azerbaijan? And how do you do the talks of energy resources? Can Azerbaijan be the focal point to bring energy resources for a more stable European Union? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As I said, we welcome all mediation efforts, facilitation efforts by any state or international organization if it helps. So we appreciated the involvement also by the European Union, which allowed for two parties to bridge the differences in Prague. I mentioned that event in 2022 at the European Community Summit in Prague. Actually, Armenia for the first time agreed to recognize the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan, which is a major stumbling block on the way to peace. Again, the conflict is to be solved between the two countries, Azerbaijan and Armenia, and no one can help Armenia to solve the differences with Azerbaijan if Armenia continues to stick to ideas of revanchism or territorial claims. So this is again clear for mediation by any international organization or any country. As for the energy resources, yes, actually Azerbaijan has been supplying energy resources to European, namely gas. We managed to build a pipeline in cooperation with brotherly Turkiye, Taptanap pipeline, which runs through our good friend and brother Georgia to Turkey, and from Turkey to and last year the president of Azerbaijan and presidents of Bulgaria and Serbia in December last year attended an inauguration ceremony for gas interconnector Bulgaria-Serbia. And starting this year, our gas reaches already, before it reached Albania, Italy, Greece, and now it reaches also Bulgaria, also member of the European Union. And starting this year, our gas reaches also the Serbian market, and maybe I hope one day it will come here to our friendly North Macedonia. So yes, we do our part in this process of energy security of Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, though this topic can have 2 other hours. But thank you for your consistency. The last but not the least, Ambassador de Godoy, what are the United Nations High Commission Refugees projects in the future in order to protect the stateless people and also refugees? Thank you.
Thank you. There are 2 aspects of your question, refugees and stateless people. So for refugees, first of all, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the accession of the Refugee Convention by North Macedonia. It happened 30 years ago, so we're working with the country to strengthen the asylum system here, to make it fair and efficient for the persons that need international protection. We can say proudly that for the context that we were discussing here related to Ukraine, this country is already granting temporary protection for Ukrainians in a similar manner in comparison with other neighboring countries to Ukraine. We saw the first 35 persons being granted temporary protection. I think this is a very concrete example of how global challenges are not so far away from us, and how very concrete alliances can bring a better future for persons that are facing now the challenges to live their life in a host community, which is not their country of origin. So we would like to keep working with international community and member states on the principles and agreements that were achieved during the Global Refugee Forum last December in Geneva. And I think that's a very important platform, not only for member states, but also for private sector, civil society organizations, and the academia. One of the opportunities that we have there is how academia can also become part of a global alliance of interdisciplinary network of institutions that are willing to do more research, knowledge sharing, and also opening their services to refugees. And I think this network is very in line with the purposes of International Balkan University and the research center. So I'd like to extend the invitation for us to continue this dialogue, maybe considering to become closer partners to explore that idea, and precisely incorporating the point of view of persons affected by conflicts and refugees, and how that can affect the way we think about their situation. This is not only politically or economically interesting, because refugees may also represent an added value for the host countries and host communities. If we think about, for example, how Macedonia is benefiting from foreign workforce to boost the country's development strategy, we can easily find the economic argument there. But I really believe that this is also an added value in terms of a different epistemological approach. So we can not only, talk about refugees, but most likely also be able to talk with refugees. So I would like to highlight that, and maybe with this promote our hashtag with refugees for those that are also following us on social media. Please stay tuned, because we're also going to have a joint event soon to celebrate World Refugee Day on June 20th. Then on statelessness eradication front, I didn't talk much about it, but there are 2 very important international treaties, the 1954 Convention and the 1961 Convention. And Macedonia is one of the countries that is about to end statelessness, and there are known cases of statelessness. So I think this is a very important record for the region. UNHCR has a global campaign to end statelessness by 2024. So we would like to make a call for countries to engage with our campaign I Belong, and to motivate countries to adopt a stateless status determination procedure to make sure that persons that have no nationality or that would become stateless if they're not registered and have access to citizenship, that they do so. I think this is a very important measure. There are around 5 million stateless people worldwide. This is not as well known as internally displaced people or refugees, but this is certainly a situation that deserves attention, and maybe also will have very positive results coming from here soon. So join us with the I Belong campaign as well. My final point, if you allow me, just to be quick. Apart from the Global Refugee Forum, there is also a global compact on migration. So I think that this comprehensive manner to think about refugees and migrants is much needed, to have a human rights approach and to be able to articulate solutions for both. To recall a famous book by an international lawyer, Martin Koskeniemi, that had a very interesting take on international law and finding it sometimes caught up between apology and utopia. So we need to be able to articulate that. And I think refugee convention and human rights language is one of those grammars that are being used in a way that are allowing countries, host communities, to once again recall the basic behaviors that are part of our common values, that we know that we are able to share a bread and to, when needed, receive those persons that are arriving in our communities and extend our hands to them. So I think that's part of what we would like to say, is that we have a deep trust that it is possible to restore not only the right to asylum as the rights in asylum, and by doing that, make sure that everybody has the right to have rights. Thank you.
Okay, as I say, it's very hard to have limitation time when you have very strong speakers as you, but thank you very much for your time. As BRC and as IBU, we are very much delighted to have you. You have enlightened a lot with your information and standpoints, and this speaks volumes about BRC and how we continue. We will continue to cooperate with all of you as actors, but also with other entities, and hope that in next panels we will have more specifics so that you have more space and time to go in depth. Again, thank you to all of you and the audience, the students, and the friends who basically support us in this path. Thank you.
In the name of our entire audience, I would like to once again thank our honorable panelists for their contribution and insightful discussion in today's panel. Now the Director of the Balkan Research Center and Vice Rector of IBU, Associate Professor Dr. Mevludin Ibish, will provide our panelists with certificates of appreciation from the Balkan Research Center. His Excellency Fatih Ulusoy. His Excellency Kamil Khasiyev. And Mr. Gabriel Gualano de Godoy. Now I would like to invite our Rector, Professor Dr. Lutfi Sunar, to present our moderator and panelists with gifts from our university.
Aydan Bey, Fatih.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the opening ceremony of the Balkan Research Center. I would like to once again thank all of you for your presence in today's